Jesus said, "Whoever welcomes a child welcomes me." Children are full participants in the life of the church and in the realm of God. And God calls us to make our churches safe places, protecting children, youth, and vulnerable adults from abuse. Safe Sanctuaries is our response to this church-wide commitment. Our hope and our challenge is for every church in the North Georgia Conference to implement a Safe Sanctuaries policy, and the Office of Connectional Ministries is here to support your church's effort. Here are some of our most frequently asked questions.
Does my church need to create its own Safe Sanctuaries policy?
Yes. The conference requirement is that each church form a team, study the Safe Sanctuary information as a team, and then write their own church policy.
What steps should we take to implement a Safe Sanctuaries policy?
If your church does not currently have a policy, there are resources available on the website that will provide the information you need. Remember that every church must have a policy. I'm happy to help you get started on this essential ministry document.
What if my church doesn't have any children?
Safe Sanctuary policies are for the protection of children, youth, and vulnerable adults. That widens the real necessity for all congregations to comply.
What is Track 1?
In 2014, the North Georgia Conference began a contractual relationship with Track 1, a national company that provides online training for safe sanctuaries and background checks for volunteers. Now local congregations can register with Track 1 and offer access to the Safe Sanctuaries training to their volunteers. Should a volunteer need a background check, there will be instructions for that to be done. The online training is specific to Georgia and has been provided by our own Joy Melton, author of all the Safe Sanctuaries resources. The conference has covered the registration fee for Track 1, so that churches only pay for the training and background check services they use.
How often should we evaluate our Safe Sanctuaries policy?
Your policy should be revised and updated every year, then submitted to the full church council for a vote. In some of our districts, congregations are asked to submit their policy to the district office and complete a form that indicates their policies and procedures are up to date. The most important thing is that once you have written and adopted a policy, you follow the policy and train your volunteers to do so.
Does the conference certify that we are a Safe Sanctuaries church?
No, we don't certify churches. We ask that each church be in compliance with the General Conference mandate to have a policy. Our conference is committed to having every congregation with an up-to-date policy, trained volunteers and staff, and a process for yearly review and recommitment.
How often should volunteers be trained and background checked?
Volunteers should be trained on your church policy every year. They should do a background check when they first enter your ministry with children, youth, or vulnerable adults. Then, depending on how your policy is written, we recommend that every 2 or 3 years, they redo the general Safe Sanctuaries training that you will find on Track 1 or is available through a PowerPoint that the conference can provide to you. It is also recommended at that time that they redo their background check.
Do you have suggestions for sign-in and sign-out procedures?
Just make sure you have them. It's important that parents feel comfortable leaving their children with us, and it's equally important that we know where parents are on our church campuses in case of an emergency. This can be as simple as a clipboard with a place where you gather that information when children come to Sunday school or to a children's ministry program, or it can be as complicated as a computer check-in or fingerprint system. It depends on the ministry needs of your church. You want to know who brings them, where they can be found in an emergency, and then who will pick them up. It is not recommended that older siblings pick up their younger brothers and sisters, but do what's best in your church setting.
We heard that there is a mandatory reporting law for volunteers. Will you explain that?
Yes. In 2012, the Georgia legislature made it a law that those people who are volunteers in church ministries are also mandatory reporters, much the same way doctors and teachers and others have been for a long time. This means if you are a volunteer in a church ministry with children, youth, or vulnerable adults, and you suspect there has been abuse, you have 24 hours to report that to the appropriate authorities. If you fail to do so, you can be charged with a misdemeanor. Please follow your church's policy and the procedures for reporting that are outlined there, but you no longer have the option of not reporting. Make sure you follow those procedures and your senior pastor is aware that a call will be made to the appropriate authorities.
Where do we go for more help or information?
Visit the Safe Sanctuary page of the conference website at www.ngumc.org/Safe Sanctuaries. You'll find sample policies, links to resources, and information on implementing a plan. Plus, the staff of the Office of Connectional Ministries is here to help. Find our contact information at the conference website as well. Thank you for creating a safe space for children and youth and adults to grow in their faith.